Hey guys, it's Liv here. So apologies first off that it's been a while. We've obviously been busy learning to be parents and navigating this new chapter. But I had intentions of coming back way sooner and life just kept getting in the way, truthfully. So the main reason why we haven't come back is that I have been trying to figure out how I want to navigate our channel and how I want to shift the focus. Obviously, it started off documenting our infertility journey, and we're not in that phase right now. And although we are looking at starting to try for a second, it's sort of well, I'll get into all of that later, but it's not the focus of our lives right at this particular time. So, you know, I didn't really want to go into vlogging, and I just, you know, I could continue with like the monthly updates or something for Bode, but I also kind of was trying to decide how I wanted to navigate all of that with him and, you know, like the balance of how much do I share, it's his life, you know, and I know there's some people on the one end of things that, you know, want to respect their children's right to privacy or what have you, or anonymity. And then there's other people who share everything. So I kind of was trying to figure out where I want to be on that spectrum, and I have since kind of decided what that would look like for us, but that's another topic entirely. Anyways, so coming back, I decided just as our first video back, I would do a sort of Q&A. I threw up some requests for questions on my Instagram page, and I got a lot of great questions, so this may end up being a two-part video for that reason. So let's just jump into it. Alright, so the first question, obviously, which was the most common question, was plans for baby number 2. So yes, we would like to try and have a sibling for Bode. No, we're not currently trying. We're also not trying. Because of my C-section, my OB wanted us to wait at least a year. She would prefer if we waited a year and a half. And we also have to be stop breastfeeding before you do any kind of fertility treatments. So I guess we're still breastfeeding. He also has been eating solids, obviously, so he doesn't feed as much. But I still don't have a cycle back, so there's nothing to track, or I don't know, there's just no way for me to really know if we are ovulating even and able to, but we're not preventing anything from happening. So if there is a miracle, then we'll count ourselves very, very lucky. We are very realistic that, you know, when we do start trying, that things most likely will not happen naturally for us. However, things happen, and we remain hopeful that perhaps we could be one of those cases. So we would like to try naturally for a little bit of time, and it's going to be very relaxed trying. We're not going to go crazy with it, but we want to give it a good fair shot prior to moving on to some frozen embryo transfers. We have 4 remaining embryos that are left in New York, and they're not our best. They're the bottom 4, the lowest quality of our 16 or whatever embryos that we had. And truthfully, given our history, we believe that we have a high normal of abnormal embryos. We never did PGS testing, which is pre-implantation genetic screening, because of the cost and various other factors. So we don't actually know, but that is something that I believe to be a factor, just given the fact that we transferred 3 with Bode and only 1 took, and that was our 4th transfer. Every other transfer we had done 2 each time, and nothing ever took. So our guess is that there's something going on with the genetics. So who knows? There could be 1 or 4 good ones, or there could be none. And we kind of decided that we would, if it comes to that, we would decide to do a frozen transfer. We haven't decided if we'd transfer 1, 2, or more. That's a very heavy topic in our household. I flip-flop a lot. And then, you know, in terms of what would we plan to do if none of those worked? Would we do a fresh transfer or a fresh cycle with stims and everything? And the answer to that right now is no, but I kind of the mindset never say never, because especially with infertility, you know, sometimes you say, I'm walking away, and then you change your mind 2 days later. So everything's very fluid, and I just try and say, you know, however I'm feeling when it comes to that, then we'll honor that. But we are open to being parents of a single child. We're open to pursuing adoption. We're open to fostering. For me, it was really just, you know, the 5 to 6 years or whatever infertility that we dealt with. Really, I just was begging to have the experience of, you know, being pregnant with a biological child and being a parent, and experiencing those experiences. And now we have. And although I'm very much like a sibling, and I always envisioned a family of 2 or more kids, I just feel immensely blessed for where we are at. So pursuing baby number 2 doesn't hold as much weight as it did on our first journey. So it's going to be navigated a bit differently for us, and we're just going to continue to, again, honor however we're feeling at the given time and the given circumstances that we find ourselves in. All right, so Dreaming of Baby C asked about breastfeeding. It was just breastfeeding ? Which is a really great question, because I think that my last video was the 4-month update, and we had gotten the hang of breastfeeding and it was going well. Honestly, we really struggled at the onset. I didn't know if we were going to be successful. I had massive latch issues, and he had a tongue tie, and it was painful and awful, and no one really prepared me for that. And I just feel so grateful that it turned out the way it did, and breastfeeding became such a comfortable, bonding, wonderful experience between Bo and I. And it's honestly, we're now at the point where I'm sort of ready to start the weaning process and sort of reclaim my body. He is nowhere near ready, and I don't want to force him. I'm gently guiding him, but he is very much a boob man. I don't know. So we will see how that all goes, and I'm not worrying about it until the 1-year mark, and then after that we'll again play it by ear, see how we feel, and yeah, take it day by day. All right, so our Becca22 asked, things I wish I knew before baby, which is an interesting question, because I think for 5 years I really was just focused on getting pregnant. And then when I got pregnant, I was really just focused on staying pregnant and getting the baby. And I didn't, this was a conscious decision, but I didn't do any reading about what to do when baby comes. And it's so funny, because I think that's very, like, most women in pregnancy are like reading up on, you know, all the things that come with new parenthood, buying all the books. And I think that I had done so much reading and so much research and spent so much of my time like buried in Google and everything, that for infertility, that I was tired of it, and I was so anxious. As you guys, if you followed our journey, saw, I was a wreck in pregnancy, and I couldn't take that on. So there was probably a lot I could have benefited from knowing, but you know, honestly, most people sort of said the long and short of it that, you know, the early stages are hard, but it gets easier. And I truly don't think anyone can prepare you for parenthood, and I think that every child is unique. I think every parent is unique, and I think every dynamic is unique, every family dynamic is unique, and all of that plays into your own unique experience. And so I think for me, knowing sort of that fact and saying it's okay if your experience is different from mine. I think people are so eager to share, oh, this is how it was, this is how it's going to be for you. Well, guess what? Breastfeeding was really hard for me, but it's for other people, it's not an issue. You know, some people deal with baby blues or postpartum anxiety or depression. That wasn't an issue for me. I struggled a little bit at the beginning with bonding, and I think that had to do with infertility and a few other things, but you know, I was in disbelief that this was my baby, and there was a disconnect for a little bit. Other people, it's like the instant they see their child, it's this connection. So all of it is unique to you, and I think that comparing is the worst thing you can do, but it's natural, and it might happen, and that's okay too. So there's not one piece of advice or one piece of something that I would wish I had known, because just experienced it how I experienced it. Maybe that's not a good answer, but that's my answer. All right, so our Rebecca 22 also asked ways infertility still affects me. And so this actually came up a few times, and I think that infertility does leave you with a bit of PTSD, and in good ways and bad ways. In a lot of ways, it's made me a better parent than maybe I would have been if I hadn't have gone through infertility. And I say that cautiously because that's not to say that I'm a better parent than people who didn't go through infertility. I just mean me individually. Had I not gone through infertility, I would have been different than I am now. And that's mainly just because of my mindset of things that have shifted and awareness of things. And truthfully, if we had gotten pregnant right away, I think I'd be a very different parent, but I was also a lot younger. So there you have it. But I think that it's, for me, made the hard days easier in parenthood. And it's also, I think it's also just reminded me that this could be it. This could be the only time I'm experiencing XYZ. When there's pregnancy announcements or people complaining about parenthood or complaining about pregnancy or complaining about being pregnant when they don't want to be pregnant, that can all still be hard, and I have a tendency to be reactive and flip back to my old self pre-parenthood, and it's maybe not something that I'm overly proud of. I would like to be able to let all that go, and it's something I'm working on, but I still get my back up a little bit, and it's not necessarily a healthy way to be, but it's kind of what infertility does to you in a way. So I also, you know, intimacy and a lot of those other things, they come with a lot of baggage, and we're learning to let go of all of that as well, because our lives have shifted, and so our mindsets and our emotions and everything should shift along with it. It just is taking time, and I think that it will always live on as part of me, but hopefully the further along in our lives that we go, it will be less and less so.